Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister for Emergency Services. In April, Fire Rescue Victoria attended a house fire in Truganina. A fire truck was dispatched from Tarneet but malfunctioned at the scene and couldn't supply water to attack the fire or give coverage to the fire crew. In July, Sunshine Station's teleboom was crucially delayed in attending the Derrimut chemical factory fire. At the time, it was stationed far away in Ringwood because Ringwood's appliance was broken and there were no spares. Then a couple of weeks ago, there was a house fire in Point Cook with a 15-year-old trapped inside. The only multi-storey appliance available in the western suburbs broke down at the scene. Can the Minister explain why the constituents of the Western Metropolitan region, who also pay the fire services levy, is bearing the brunt of Victoria's fire truck crisis?
Minister.
Thank you, President. I thank Mr Ettershank for his question. And at the outset, I think I share the sentiment of all members of the chamber that Victorians are incredibly well served by our dedicated firefighters. In relation to expenditure for FRV, there's about $850 million a year that is spent on this important work because we want Victorians to be safe and we want, importantly, our firefighters to be safe. The crux of your question goes to fleet, and I can take you through some of the investments and orders that are underway. There is currently 28 vehicles that are in various stages of being en route or being ordered or have indeed been funded. That includes $15 million in the latest budget to provide 5 new aerial pumpers, pumper platforms they're called, and they will be tendered and online in a couple of years. There is the closest ones to roll out will be 3 pumper platforms that are only weeks away, and they will be deployed to areas of need determined by FRV. In relation to ongoing maintenance and making sure that our fleet is available to be deployed with our hardworking firefighters. We have DMOs that spend a lot of time ensuring that vehicles are maintained and that they are being able to move around, so there's spare ones to fill in gaps and the like. The Fire Services Implementation Monitor, he is responsible for setting the target for fleet availability, and he noted in the recent Q4 Outcomes Framework report that it was a positive year for FRV, and at Q3 23-24, FRV has a fleet availability of 90%, and this is up from 85% in Q2 23-24. I can assure you, Mr Ettershank, that there is a lot of advocacy in relation to ongoing investment, and fleet in particular is at the forefront of those requests. Commissioner Freeman is indeed a fierce advocate in that regard, and I will certainly continue to work with him on understanding the ongoing needs of our fire services.
Mr Ettershank, supplementary.
I thank the Minister for her response, and I think you've in part preempted my supplementary, but I will proceed nonetheless. Following the Derrimut fire, the United Firefighters Union once again raised the need for a rolling replacement program to be reinstated. On ABC Melbourne on 23 July, Fire Rescue Commissioner Gavin Freeman, who you mentioned, stated that we're working with the government about getting back to a more sustainable ongoing replacement and investment pipeline for our fleet. The predecessor organisation had that. Minister, do you agree with the Union and Commissioner Freeman's assertions that a rolling replacement program and investment pipeline should be reinstated to keep our firefighters and the community safe during the increasingly frequent emergency incidents such as the chemical blaze at Derrimut? Yes, thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Ettershank, and as you have identified, I touched on some of these issues in my answer to your first question, but just coming to the Derrimut fire and some of the commentary around that, I just want to put on record that more than 50 appliances responded to the Derrimut fire. It was an extremely dangerous fire, factory fire containing materials that were extremely hazardous to both firefighters and the community, and the response to that was tremendous. And I have thanked firefighters for their efforts in containing that fire, which could have been much worse if not for their efforts. Mr Ettershank, I meet with Commissioner Freeman and members of his team regularly as I see firefighters on the ground, particularly after they've responded to events in relation to hearing their needs. There are a range of matters that I talk to FRV about in relation to their priorities of their expenditure, whether that's in relation to employee costs, investments for fleet, or indeed improvements to stations and the like. And I can assure you that those are important conversations. And as I said, Commissioner Freeman is indeed a fierce advocate for attention
Thank you,
from
Mr.
me
Tom
and
Desquire.
the broader government for his efforts.
Ms.